Hello, everyone. This is Andreas Pop Culture Talk. Chris and I are back again for another spectacular Andreas Pop Culture Talk, episode 5, I will say this, with two movies we're discussing. Of course, the recent DCEU 13th film, The Flash, and of course, we recently saw today, Monday, The Blackening, directed by Tim Story, and horror comedy. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing great, buddy. Thank you for having me again tonight. I'm excited to discuss about the Flash tonight. I'm excited to discuss the Blackening, and but I have a lot to say about Barry Allen finally returning on screen and finally having his solo film, even though it took I think about 9 years to develop, and it definitely went through its trials of creativity, production issues, and different writers and directors. And to finally see this film come to fruition is it's definitely bittersweet, I would say.
Yeah,
Uh, now that the Snyderverse, as we know it, is over.
yeah.
But I'm glad that we both got to see it and we got to see the Blackening today.
Yes, very true. Uh, I mean, well, we have still two DC movies. The last Snyderverse thing is really the Aquaman movie. And the Blue Beetle one is very interesting because James Gunn confirmed that it's going to be the first DCU character. Excuse me. But we'll get into more of that. But yes, I agreed. And yes, I think I'm more excited to talk about the Blackening than the Flash. But anyway, oh my god, I'm just so excited to talk about the Rose Park gag. That was so funny. The Rose Parks.
Yeah, you were laughing your butt off throughout the entire film.
Yeah. Oh my god, that movie. Anyway, so I mean, as in order, we're gonna do first the Flash, and then second will be the Blackening because it'll be kind of quick. It was a great film, and we highly recommend seeing The Blackening. So go ahead, check the film,
Oh wait,
please.
Andre, you sure you don't want to talk about the Blackening first?
Um, well, it's up to you.
Yeah, I don't mind.
All right. We'll start the Blackening. The Blackening. Uh, so this is a horror comedy film, 2023. Of course, as mentioned earlier, this is directed by Tim Story, who did the first two Fantastic films with Michael Chiklis and Chris Evans. This was written by, just give me a minute, just getting the information up. Say the back. The just give me a second. Yes. So, Chris, just give me your overall opinion on the film, The Blackening. I don't know if you were excited to see the film. Written by Terry Oliver and Dewayne Perkins, who's also in the film. I'm trying to find out who Perkins was in this film. The role was Dewayne. Okay, so it's Dewayne. Oh my god.
Yeah, so the film, I did like the film, and I love the satire involved. Touching on, social issues and the kind of tropes and stereotypes that the black community deals with.
Yeah,
Some of the jokes were kind of corny and that were a little cringy, but there were jokes that were definitely very funny, and some of the characters, they delivered perfect, nice little funny lines, at the right time.
mhm.
So it was definitely an enjoyable film, and honestly, it was more silly than scary.
Yeah, I agree. Very silly. It's like I like in Wikipedia to say comedy horror film. I think that's a good way to say it. It's comedy first and horror second, which is fine. I think this was it's sort of like Scream actually. I think it's sort of like the classic whodunit mystery, but in a very social commentary. Like screen level, with the black
Yeah, I
characters
mean,
they fall.
yeah, I can see where you're going with that, but I would say it wasn't as. I would say Scream Six was definitely more intense. I would
Yes.
say the Blackening, in terms of just like the suspense of the horror, they were a little more lighthearted with it.
Hmm.
And of course, it's not surprising that it touched um racism. Obviously, there was a scene where you see where the character saw the Confederate flag, and then so clearly
Hmm.
the killers, clearly they were racist, which is why they were willing to do Clifton's bidding, even though obviously Clifton is a black guy, and that just
Yeah.
shows how deep racism is. That
Yeah.
you're willing to work with a black person who's paying you to kill other black people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very true. Yeah. So let's okay. So let me discuss the villain because it's very funny. Because okay. So I don't know how you call the villain, the host or the uh I guess the blackening creature, if you want to call it, was also created by Clifton, one of the I say outcast character in the group, right? And
Absolutely.
I lean to you while I think when they got into the game room, I say that he's definitely the villain because it's just very funny that he has the Trump thing, but he knew how to use the gun like he properly help who was the individual not King
Namdi.
Nami, yeah, like to face it forward, so it was kind of obvious it was him, but it was so funny with the reveal, and just his motivation was probably the best villain motivation reveal. Like I thought this was so much better than the Scream Killer's motivation, unfortunately. But yeah, what else you can say? So
Really?
yeah,
Oh yeah, actually, yeah. It's. I mean, I guess it's. I guess it's a trope in some horror movies where it turns out like the nerdy, dorky, shy person is like the killer or the mastermind behind the whole thing. And
hmm,
as I said earlier, you definitely understand his reasoning. Clearly, this man was you can clearly see that his isolation from the group, and you clearly he wasn't one of them, and you saw that in how they treated him throughout the film.
yeah,
They didn't even, a couple of times he had to say what his name was. They didn't even remember his name. He wanted to learn how to play the game with spades, and they weren't willing to teach him, and they were like, well, you got to watch then, so watch them, and they were
yeah,
willing to sacrifice him because he was deemed to be, for the sake of being deemed to be the blackest. So they mistreated this young man, and then it turns out, the
yeah,
reasoning behind, what he was doing was that at a college party he had trouble playing the game of spades, and the crew accosted him for it, and Antoinette Robertson's character was saying that like your black card's been revoked, and that's where he was getting at was then like who defines what blackness is.
yeah,
Because because like I have trouble playing spades, or I vote for Donald Trump, or that I don't do the things that maybe I don't do the I don't do the things or that are associated with black people that makes me less black. And I think the film really touched on that, in that just because someone is a black person is like biracial or gay or you know Trump supporter or conservative or what, regardless of whatever their personality ideas are, it doesn't make them any more or less black than any other black person. So I'm
that's
glad
true.
the film really touched on that.
Yeah, and that's kind of like going through the arcs of kind of say with the main group, like the main three characters that are like having the major arcs, particularly with Allison, Lisa and Dewayne, and the Lisa's boyfriend, well, former like slash getting back to boyfriend, Delmy, right? If I'm saying that right, the Delmy. Like those three are pretty much going into an arc of not only accepting their true identity as black people, but also accepting there's some of their faults as individuals that they made while they were like young people, and like and that they are very flawed, but like they do care for each other, like because like the whole Lisa and Dwayne back and forth is really intriguing. I really like their friendship in the film, and I thought where we like left them is really touching and really great. And I actually like the character of Damid. I mean, he's very like the great thing about this film. I really like was how well like orchestrated they did with the stereotypical roles of each of the characters in the black group, and it was so well done, and like it wasn't hokey. It was like very believable. Like King, he's a good example of that. Like he's a very like he's like a recover, like former, I guess like what do you call it, like a drug person that's clean, and he's in a steady relationship. He's like a changed man, sort of like what the nominee is doing too. And it's kind of cool that Lisa, Lisa is struggling to really express her emotions as a woman, as a black woman as well. And I sort of like how she's able to express that to, these group of people that she trusts, since 10 years, right? And so I really like that we handle a lot of their stereotypical roles in a very meaningful way, which I did not expect. That's one of the reasons I sort of love the film. And that's why I love the villain motivation, because it just makes so much more sense. And the way they like give you hints of it was like I did not expect that Cliff, was going to be the main villain. I think they did a good job of making a red herring to it.
Right, exactly. But is that you notice earlier in the movie, he was insisting that they play the game in order to save Yvonne Orji's character, even
Yes.
though the crew didn't want to. I think that was definitely a hint that either he was the villain or the mastermind behind the whole thing, and it turns out he was the mastermind behind the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Yeah, that, and then also the space. If you think about the space, like the fact that like we got, like I mentioned there in the beginning, and then it gets come back to the end, which was really hilarious, but like very poetic. So like that's pretty cool. I guess the other thing was the two helpers that help Cliff to like orchestrate this like game hunt. Like the fact that their friend Morgan, Morgan and Sean were there. Morgan took moved the white family picture, to put the Frank's group picture frame like in the bookshelf, and it's kind of like a hit and miss that you don't realize that the twins are going to be the main villains. So like this film really did a good job of setting up clues and breadcrumbs for like who's going to be the main killers and villains of the piece.
Yeah, and I like how although it definitely like touched on like racism, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like they didn't go too overboard with it, because
Yeah,
you still found a lot of humor within the movie, so it didn't really push the traumatic experiences that black people face in regards to racism. So I'm glad that they kept that at a low, because that's
yeah,
one of the big criticisms with with some films with an all black cast is that
Mm,
they focus too much on like the traumatic experiences of black people instead of
mm,
having experiences where we have joy and where we can like laugh even with the uncomfortable experiences that we face. And I feel like
yeah,
this film did a great job with that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's still. I think I can see where people come from. I mean, it sort of depends on the filmmaker. Like, I think Spike Lee, the filmmaker, like he has that like sort of that problem, like a little bit. Like, I feel like I don't know if you've seen Black Klansman, but like,
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah, like I saw that film, great film, but like you don't need the real like artifact footage of like the present day. I felt like the ending of like John Davis Washington's character and the love interest he has there that is from Spider-Man Homecoming. Um, uh, I felt like they should have ended there instead of just cutting into like the present day and like give like the lecture of the rights and all that like still going on, which I get, like I know that, but like you don't need to put that in the film, after dealing with it, the whole film where it's powerful still, but and then there's other ones that like do actually very well with the commentary that like Jordan Peele, like it's a good example of this. Like he knows how to like spread the commentary, but also make it accessible. That's why Get Out works. This is why Us works, and this is what like Nope works. And like you still can have fun. So I think this really leads to very good like direction where Jordan Peele has done so successfully.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, absolutely. So you and the Blackening does a good and the Blackening does a good job with like keeping up with its satire and
yep,
at the expense of it all, there are times where they're having fun and having a good time with each other.
yes,
It's not like dark throughout the whole movie. Of course, it has its dark moments, but for the most part, it's funny for the most part.
yeah, yeah. I agree. Excuse me. Like I guess we could get into favorite jokes, like because I think one of the things. Um. Oh, yeah. Well. Well.
Sorry, I clicked. I left the call by accident.
No worries. Anyway, we could continue. So, let's get into like our favorite jokes. I guess that would be a good way to get into the best part about this one. I think the friends like when the group have to answer the the question about all the black actors and guest starred on the Friends show, and that was where I think you started to like the film more, like just them like correcting what they answered, the fact that they shouldn't watch Friends. It's so funny, and that's the first time where Morgan, the friend that's pretty much held captive and is later killed by Clifton, gets attacked, and I think it gets her hair taken off, right? And during this portion, so I love that scene. I think that was where the film really gets into the humorness factor, like my way.
Yeah, I would say my favorite part was that they were debating about like who's the blackest, and the characters were explaining all the qualities about themselves that made them like, I guess black or any that made
Yeah,
them, I guess, like more associated with the behaviors that are associated with black people. I thought them going back and forth about that was funny. But I loved
yes,
how when Clifton, of course, when it wasn't revealed that he was behind the whole thing, I like when he said that, if you guys had any common sense, that you would know that Skane wanted us to divide with
yeah,
each other, to turn on each other, and you just gave it what it wanted. So I'm glad he pointed that out.
yeah, I agree. Like he pretty much like gave a clue to the group. That's what that's what he tended to do, and like that's really funny. Like just thinking back on the reveal, like Cliff just really hones in his motivation and why he's after this group because of what they did to him and like shot him as a black person. So I think that was a really great point scene that was funny, but now it's actually very like deep and actually gives contents of what Cliff say towards the end of the film, towards the four main in the basement, so I think that's that's like classic writing 101 of just paying. Like this movie does a good job of paying off their payoffs, and like just like Scream 6, they did a really good job of paying off the payoffs that they set up early in the film, which is great. So that's really good. Okay, so I guess we can kind of get into I guess the other joke. I mean, of course, when I mean, of course, this is the scene where like Cliff, mentions how he didn't see Friday, and then, he mentions how he voted for Trump twice, and that scene still like gets it, still gets to me, after seeing that in the trailer, So, but anyway, so what else we could bring up? Oh, I guess let's it's really tough, right, to have favorite characters. Like, there's a lot of characters, and I actually really surprised that I actually like all the characters. There's no one character I dislike.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so like I mentioned before,
Well, actually, I didn't. I don't know, the big girl. I didn't like her character that much.
Who was that?
I forgot her name. She was the one that yeah, she was like the big girl, the big girl. I forgot it. Hold on, I forgot her name, but
Yeah,
she was like, like she just had. She was saying the N word a lot. She was saying the N word a lot. Not her. Everyone was saying it, but
right.
I just didn't like that. She had this like just obnoxious, loudmouth personality, and I just wish there was more layers to her character, and I
Yeah,
just felt like that contributed to the stereotype of black women that they all act like that. And they're not all like that.
right.
They don't all like talk fat. They don't all like talk fast and are loud or
Mhm.
just cuss up a storm or act crazy or anything like that.
Yeah,
Like they don't act that way.
yeah. I totally agree. Yeah, least favorite is definitely Shannon. That's her name. That's the one you're talking about. Played by ex Maya. Um, she is a really interesting. Like, she worked in the Daily Show. She was in The Good Doctor, Swarm, and she was in the films of The Farewell, which I seen recently. That's a good movie. But yeah, so yeah, I kind of agreed. I think she was like the least favorite of mine. I think it's because she was just so like her jokes were kind of like the most obvious, where the others' jokes were like very funny. Like it hit you in the right way. Like even like Dewayne, like his stereotypical was still funny. Like the gay archetype person, and like everything worked there. But like with Shanaik, I don't think hers were like it was like the obvious jokes, and like wasn't original. So yeah, I totally agree with you, Chris. I'm with you. She was like my least favorite. And I guess to transition to my favorite character, I guess I pick Allison. Um, I don't know. I having a toss up to Allison or King. I thought those two were my favorite of the movie. Just about them were so funny, especially because they get hit so many, like especially King. He gets hit like 2 or 3 times and with the arrow, and it's just I cannot believe he survived that. But it's so hilarious, and of course Allison is just great, just her and just her strictly, yeah, how you say it, open minded and just like go get her, go get it kind of personality. It just really works. I don't know. Those two characters are my favorite. I don't know what's your two other favorite characters. favorite character. Um,
I mean, I liked pretty much, most of the characters,
yeah.
except, the woman I was talking about. What's her name again?
Shane. Shane Ake. That's her name. Shane.
Shanique? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like, why that? Like, not all black women have like names like that, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Like at least that name. His name makes more sense. Like it's from an actual African kind of name, right? And like I don't know, like it's just weird with her. But yeah, I mean, at least like she's not a annoying character. Like she's not like the worst character. I just don't think she was like like the most memorable. Like I don't know. So it's just weird. Um, but what else? I do like that. The how you say the Officer White. I really dug the Officer White gag, the White Ranger, which is hilarious. I really appreciate that he was this movie. The Carl Batter or the Reach Batter, who voiced Batman in the Hall and Queen show. That is
Yeah,
uh,
Dietrich Bader.
Dietrich Bader. Thank you. Dietrich Bader is, of course, he voiced Batman in his solo Batman show, Batman Brave the Bold. Highly recommend that show. It's really great. I mean, awesome. It's one of the best shows. And first voice Batman again in the Batman Scooby Doo crossover, and of course in the Harley Quinn show that stars Kelly, voiced by Kelly Coco from Big Bang Theory. He was great. I thought his humor was hilarious, and I think he was kind of consistent. So,
Yeah, that
okay,
was funny. The way that scene where he was trying to call for backup, he's like Officer White. Just the way he said white.
wait,
That was funny.
yeah, and then the part when they drop their weapons, and so that they can, like just convince him that they didn't do anything illegal, and then they got back to their weapons after he told them to go to his car or like follow him. That killed me. Oh my god.
Yeah, that definitely. Especially as you said, when they picked up their weapons just to follow, because like clearly they were still suspicious of him, and like that was funny.
Yeah. Oh my god. But after unfortunately Mr. Officer White gets killed, by the killer, and I this killed me. I think this is where I fell in love with this movie, and it's definitely my second favorite of 2023. I will say that out loud. I think it's one of the best in 2023. It beats John Wick Chapter 4 for me. Um, when Dewayne tells Lisa and Dummy to leave, it's like save yourself. They of course they leave, right? Because it's like save yourself. But oh my god, the comeback of no, I didn't meant that killed me. That was one of the best. Oh my god, like replies from that scene. Oh my god, that killed me. Oh my god, and then him just spooky them in the vent. Oh my god, I don't know, that was funny. Oh my god, great scenes, great scene. Um, but yeah, so but yeah, I guess there's any funny moments you want to bring up? Because I wrote that as well. The save myself thing. It's hilarious.
Right, there's a funny moment when another one was saying, "Oh, it's like I'm so glad we have a white savior." I was like,
Yes.
"Oh, that was funny." Like I laughed my butt off when I heard that.
Yeah. Oh my god, that was so funny. Yeah, the white savior thing. But yeah, that was funny, and I guess what was the other one that was? I'm trying to think. What was the other one that was funny? Well, uh, actually, let's talk about the opening because it was funny. I I cannot believe Margaret. The character is played by Yana Arch, the actress from Insecure. Like, I'm surprised she was not in the
Oh,
movie. Like,
Yvonne Orji.
now, yeah, thank you. Can you say that again, please? Uh,
Yvonne Orji.
Navi, Navi, Navi OG, from Insecure, was sort of like the opening kill girl, basically. So for the film, sort of like what happened to Samara Weaving, Drew Barrymore, J.D. Pinkett Smith, which they brought up Scream 2.
Well, technically, it was Jay Farrow's character that was the opening kill, and then
Then, yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
Oh, you're good, you're good. Yeah, I just love that they called that out. That was funny. Yeah, so like I was very shocked that she wasn't in the movie, but I thought the little she was in, she was great. I actually really liked her. So, but yeah. Um, okay, what else we have to rate up? Is there any to bring up? Um,
the scene where Clifton and the woman went to the store and that
oh
watching over them, it was pretty obvious. It was pretty obvious is that okay, he's going to be in the film later on, and it turns out he was one of the killers. So like that was such an obvious clue.
yeah. Well, obviously cool. Like obviously clue, but also unexpected. Like we didn't expect a twin, to be in the film. So like because the picture frame was like so quick. If you didn't catch the white family picture that Morgan like moved for the party, like there was another hint that there was going to be twins in the film. So yeah, I agree. The the gas station, with the one-eyed redneck, what's kind of obvious. It could be later in the film, but I wasn't expecting, like twins, rednecks, you know. But it was funny, when we got introduced with Cliff and Shanique. Like I did enjoy the Android iPhone gag, argument. That was funny, and I like that we continued that when he arrived to the party because that was really funny that he's using Android. And I'm sorry, but the Android is better than the iPhone. That's just my opinion, you know.
Absolutely, Android reigns supreme.
So yes. Okay. So I mean, one thing I guess to wrap the blackening, because I like that there was none of our favorite characters die. I mean, you could maybe kill Technique maybe, but I'm kind of happy we didn't kill all of them really. So I'm happy that they survived because I really love these characters. And I thought that they were very smart and they actually did smart things in the horror film than most characters in horror films, Um, but yeah, but I guess you know to get into I guess you have any nitpicks or negatives about the film because I know we're bringing up like some jokes didn't land. Well, which jokes that didn't land? Um,
Was just like some of the jokes that didn't land is because like I just didn't get them. And one joke I have to admit, made me kind of cringe was when Grace, great, the woman from Empire, her character was like
Alice.
and when like her dad gets angry, he's like, oh,
Yeah.
he might kill somebody. I mean, kill somebody. I was like, I mean, yeah, but that joke just didn't really land for me, and of course, that your black card has been revoked. So it's like, okay, yeah, that's just so dumb. Like, there's no membership. There's no membership to the color of your skin. It's just the color of your skin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I know. But hey, they really went metaphor to those, commentaries in a very comedic way. So, I don't blame them trying, but yeah. So I guess my negative is the ending with the host thing. That was weird. Like,
Yes, the ending was so dumb. I mean, the host. I remember you looked it up. What that the host thing was, I guess, symbolizing. It's a callback to history, but just the way things ended was just like they're
yeah,
like, so what now? And then screen goes to black, and then after that, they call the firemen. They get sprayed by a hose. It's like that's how you end. That's how you end it. That is just
yeah,
so ridiculous.
yeah, ridiculous and just like weird. If you don't know what they were trying to do in that context, like I mean, like at least with like when Jordan Peele used like real events that happened, like like in No, Gertie the ape was like based on a real thing that happened that like someone took care of ape and then but of course went berserk and unfortunately how do you say mutilate one of the I think assistants and sort of similar to how the Gordy ape attacked the studio and mutilate mutilate the one of the co-stars and we saw the the co-star again towards the film whereas at the troopers show for the aliens that he was like showing off for a couple months. I thought that Jordan Peele knows how to sort of integrate that, like real life events that are like historic, but he does it in a very clever and like subtle way. Here it was so weird and like I don't know if it was supposed to be funny or very serious, you know? I, I mean I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just that the ending should have had like more meaning and more dialogue to it, and I wish they would have like had dialogue where they reflected on their friendship and you know the social commentary and satire that was said in the movie. That would have made for a much better ending.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. So, but besides that, I still enjoyed the film. I think the Blackening is probably one of the big surprises of this year. I really enjoy it. I think it's one of the best horror comedies I've seen. Not the top best, but I think I mentioned before I give it an 8 out of 10. I think it's a really solid film to watch in the theaters, and it's one of the best popcorn films to watch. So, yeah. Um, anything else to say about the Blackening? I think it'd be probably a good time to do the Flash.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Well, let's get into the Flash. I hope everyone enjoys the Blackening. Highly recommend watch the Blackening. Great horror comedy. Highly recommend that. So, okay, the Flash. So okay, how so the Flash is the 13th installment of the DCEU. Um, I don't know for you. I was a little concerned about the word of mouth, because it was kicking in. It didn't have. I mean, it had a pretty good, decent Rotten Tomato score. I think. Yeah. I think last time I checked, it was here like a 66 right now currently for Rotten Tomatoes. And yeah, but the score for the audience is a little bit low, I think. So here we go. Let me check this. So like 85%. So it is actually very good for the audience. But still, I am very shocked about this film. Underperforming. Right now, Monday, we got some of the box office reports. It opened 55 million opening. Okay, it could have been nice if like it was a very small movie and had like a 100 million budget, but with a price tag of 200 or 20, if the studio are saying that, but it sounds like apparently it's been kind of clicking in the reports that there is almost more money than Justice League, the Justice League film from 2017. So it could even be 400 million or 300.
Justice.
Yes, Justice League. So I'm very shocked that we got another dud in the film, like another dud DC film, two in a row, like or like four in a row. If you think about it, like or five, right? Like from Birds of Prey, Suicide Squad, well, Birds of Prey, WW 84, Wonder Woman 1984,
Yeah,
Suicide
honestly,
Squad.
I totally forgot that. Forgot about that film.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god.
Because like it had nothing to do with the first one, and it just wasn't connecting with audiences. The Suicide Squad was actually good. I thought DC got it right with that film in particular, and I thought The Flash was good as well. I mean, as I told you, I did have my few gripes with it, but overall, I thought it was a good film.
Yeah, yeah. I liked it. I was surprised. I was like, like, especially surprised. I was especially surprised by the film. But again, I just think that there was just a lot of things that was going against the film. But we'll get into that. What was your overall opinion on the Flash? Like, give me your overall opinion on the Flash when you saw it.
Well, as I said, the film was definitely entertaining to watch, and I loved how it showed the growth and maturity of Barry Allen, because he went from just a goofy comedic relief character to really finding himself and making the ultimate decision to let his mother go, and to grow as a hero and grow as a person. And he learned how to be responsible, because like Barry Allen, the beginning of the film, you saw his habit of irresponsibility when he was constantly arriving late to work and not managing his time well. um my few gripes with it is that they didn't have any of like the crucial aspects of the Flashpoint comic, and I knew it was going to loosely adapt the
Mm-hmm.
Flashpoint comic series, but I wish they would have had Eobard Thawne in there, and he's not even referenced, he's not even mentioned. And I noticed that they didn't have any instances where Barry's memories kept changing, because in the comic version, you see that Barry's memories kept changing at when he after he had traveled through time, and that was a crucial part. That was one of the crucial parts of Flashpoint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And of course, no war between Wonder Woman and Aquaman. And in the comic, Wonder Woman, she kills uh Shazam. And the war with Wonder Woman and Aquaman, that played a very crucial role in like the world's collapsing, and Eobard Thawne explaining to him that you created this catastrophe, when you went back in time to try to save your mom. Like, you created this Flashpoint timeline yourself. So I just wish they had, crucial aspects of the Flashpoint comic series into the film.
That's intriguing. Yeah, if you haven't seen, or if you haven't read the comic book or the animation film, you've seen the Flashpoint Paradox. It's like the animation film is highly recommended. It's a great direct adaptation to it. But yeah, thank you, Chris, for your opinion. I really like it. Yeah, I think I'm in the simple. I thought the film was very entertaining. It was a little shaky in the beginning with with the breakfast brunch thing, and then the babies, which a lot of people were complaining about. I mean, I totally get that. It was very goofy, and just yeah. So I think this movie is a very decent Flash film that has a really poor conceit of the multiverse they're trying to do. and it is just not satisfying, and it doesn't leave you a clear image of what's going to happen with the DC universe we're going to get. Like, I, when we get into the ending, I mean, the ending is so confusing. If like it's just such a joke. Like they did the thing that I don't like about the Ant-Man 3 film that happened this year. They end the film on a joke, and it's like so annoying. Like, I don't know which one's worse, the eating the cake thing in Quantumania, or the tooth falling thing was just not funny. Like, I don't know, it was so bad. So I was really digging the Barry Allen storyline, like the more Flash storyline, and I think that's one of the things that I really enjoy about the themes of concentrations and letting go. I thought that was the strongest aspect of the film. Dealing with the mom and Barry trying to fix everything was really compelling in the film, and I just wish we spent more time with that. Where the time that we spent was just on this very like half baked multiverse thing. Like, imagine if in Spider-Man No Way Home we did not have like Toby or Andrew in the film. Like, it could have been like such a dissatisfying thing for No Way Home, or like in Doctor Strange 2, if we didn't get the John Krasinski cameo. Like, okay, what's the Illuminati? Like, like the reason that we talked about the Illuminati thing is because of, well, Professor X, but Black Bolt and like Mr. Fantastic, like that was like a big deal, and then just the way they get killed off is like, very divided, but like it's still like a very talked about scene, right? Here in this movie, like, okay, we got few of the original Justice League for a moment, but just for Wonder Woman and Batman, that's it. An Afra, and then you got the Michael Keaton Batman, right? And then you got the Supergirl, Kara Zor-El, and then towards the end, it's like, with the multiverse thing with George Reeves and Nicolas Cage and Anna West. It's like, okay, and it's okay, cool, interesting. And then the George Clooney thing was just, I mean, I was shocked that we got George Clooney, but that's very confusing, and I don't know what they're doing. So, like, yeah, the first two acts are very strong, but when we get to the third act with the tiny, whammy, time travel multiverse thing, it just gets really bogged down and it's messy. It's the third act is so messy, and I think that's one of the downfalls of this movie. It's just it came too late in the party of the multiverse trend that we're having, and like it just doesn't deliver on its multiverse concept really. I don't have a problem with it being a loosely adapted version of Flashpoint. Like, I think that what we got here was actually really good. It's just they didn't spend time on any of this. We didn't spend so much time on Supergirl. We didn't spend so much time on like the Dark Flash at all. Like, we spent time with Barry too, but like first off, like, the Funko Pops, the leaks already leaked the villain, so we knew the villain was Dark Flash. So it was funny that they were keeping it like a secret in the film. It's like kind of honest, that's fair, right? And Keaton, I like Keaton here, but like he, I think his character is consistent from when we left him off, but I think there should have been more for him to do, and like in a very satisfying way to take him in a direction, maybe. But I don't know. Excuse me. Overall, I was very underwhelmed. It's not a bad film, but I gave it a 6.5 out of 10 when I did the Flash podcast over the MCU Bleeding Edge. So I'm
MCU Bleeding Edge?
yes. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, if you guys want to check that out, I have it in the Andreas Pop Culture guest spot. That's where you can see all my guest spots in the MCU Bleeding Edge, and also the DC and Marvel Plus talk as well. There I put MCU Bleeding Edge guest spot if you check the playlist. But yeah, so I brought that up. I was kind of like the one person that was like a little down on the film. I don't know. I just personally think the film was just too late. I feel like it was DOE or DOA when it arrived in the theaters. So I don't know what Warner was just doing. I mean, Warner Brothers made a huge mistake in the film, completely since day one. And I don't know. So I don't know. But yeah. So Chris, take us everywhere you want. What like I guess I guess we can get into the multiverse thing, like the cameos of Christopher Lee, Anna West, what else? Yeah, George Reeves. Um, well, then also the Flash that was in the George J. Derrick that was played by Teddy Spears, who was the Zoom actor for the Flash TV show. So it was weird that you have him cameo, and so it was just weird that you did that, but you didn't do Grant Gus's character of the Flash from the CW TV show. So, what do you thought about those cameos that like don't understand the film?
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were interesting, but to be honest, I really didn't, focus and really pay attention to the cameos because I think I was just yeah, like I said, I was just I was just I don't know so bothered by the fact that uh Dark Flash had like little to do with it with this film. I
Mm-hmm.
thought, and I thought he was going to have a much bigger role as like a villain, but he was barely on screen. He really didn't have a lot of dialogue. I was expecting to be, in a long lasting fight with, the Flash and Dark Flash, but the fight was so short, was very short, and I was like, are you kidding me? You didn't show this guy in the trailers you
Yeah.
marketed it as if like he was gonna have like a big role in this film, and he was being teased. He was being teased a lot. And I was like, and you barely have him on screen. I was like, are you kidding me? So like the
Hmm.
cameos, I wasn't paying attention to that. Um, I
Hmm.
was just excited about this film and just seeing this adaptation of Flashpoint. But
Hmm.
I just wish more crucial aspects of that story was in the movie.
Well, I mean, if Warner's stuck with the Snyderverse, I mean, if they did more with Aquaman and Wonder Woman in the film, like they could have gone far with it. But I will believe in that. I think that was also an issue. The fact they were using Flashpoint, it like they took some of the elements that people know about the Flashpoint, but they didn't took some of the story points that were crucial in the plot point. Like a lot of the war between the Lanterns and the Amazons, is a big factor in the storyline, right? And that was the thing for the first Flash, that the worlds were collapsing, right? And the multiverse was dying, right? I I think you could have done that in this film with Dark Flash, but I think one of the issues, like this is actually a good point here. This is one of the big issues with the DC extended universe and their solo films. They cram in so much stuff that because previously we didn't get a proper solo film before they were in a team movie, or before we knew them as individuals. Like case in point, Aquaman. Like we didn't know Aquaman at all until his first solo film, and that film was packed with multiple storylines because apparently James Wan didn't know if we're gonna make a sequel, so they crammed in so many storylines. They got the MacGuffin of the Triton thing. They got the war between the humans and then the Lanterns like building up. And then Arthur becoming the king, like all that. You can hear. You got Barry doing the time travel thing. You get a origin story of the Flash, right? With Barry too, and then you're dealing with also a alternate timeline. That this Flash goal that needs to be fixed, right? you got so many of these other platforms that you don't need, and instead they did it, and that's one of the things. Like, I like, Ezra Miller as an actor, and I do not condone his actions at all, and I can separate his horrible actions over his performance, but still, I don't have this connection with this character at all since Batman v Superman, really, when he got that introduced. It was just a poor conceit for the DC universe to not introduce your characters first in the solo film before they did the team up. That's a huge mistake. And I think again, I mentioned previously with you that you could done that well. I mean, like Civil War did this well. Like, we got introduced with Spider-Man and Black Panther, and they were well received, and they were so great in that film. Before we got into their solo films, they, didn't do the origin story. They jumped into the storylines that they have for those films, and they were great, right? Here it's like you got so many story like beats you have to be, like you're doing the multiverse, and then you're doing this like simul origin story for this Barry we don't know, like this alternate Barry to have his powers, like I don't know. I just like the story was just like very convoluted for not good reasons. I think they couldn't easily streamline the storyline that they have here in this film. Do you agree?
Yeah, and I agree. But one cameo that I will say that I liked was the Aquaman cameo, because it showed us like, okay, Aquaman still exists in this DC universe, and I think all the rumors about him being recasted and playing another role will be put to rest, and that he's still Aquaman. So
Yeah, yeah,
I liked that he made an appearance in this film, because there was a lot of uncertainty about Jason Momoa's future as Aquaman.
yeah. But that's still up the air because we don't know if his movie is going to perform well. Like, that's the thing. Like, we don't know if he's going to be still Aquaman after his second solo film. You know.
Yeah, I
So
know that there were reports that the film didn't do well in early screenings, but we're still a few months away till December. And remember, the first one did very well in the box office, so
yeah.
I
Oh,
understand the concern with the second film, but I still want us to pump the brakes. It's still June. We have a few more
yeah.
months, so let's give this second film a chance, because the first film did well.
Well, it, well, yeah, but I don't know. Like, if you're having so many multi films that are underperforming, yeah, you should be concerned. Like, I mean, this is a big. I mean, I'm thinking more of like business way for Warner Brothers. I mean, for me, I'm more like I ain't having that wait and see if they do well. But for Warner Brothers, like, like, this is more concern for Blue Beetle and Aquaman too coming up. Like, are they going to commit to spending too much money on marketing to do these films that probably are DOA and rival, or like they're gonna last minute put them in the max a streaming service, like they spent so much money and just PR thing to this hype this film, which is ridiculous. Like, they got Tom Cruise and Stephen King to sponsor this film and accolade this film that is the greatest superhero film. Like, okay, but I don't know. It's just crazy. I can see. I agree with you, Chris, about waiting scene, but I don't know. I just don't have that feeling that Aquaman. Like, it's been so many years since the first film. I mean, it came out 2018. That's 5 years. I mean, like, it's not Spider Verse. Like, Spider Verse was a word of mouth film. Like it was an underdog. Like, it got great word of mouth over the Christmas season. It won the Oscar, and then so it became popular, and then of course, Sony doesn't have a streaming service. The Spider Verse was in Into the Spider Verse was in Netflix for so many years now, 5 years, and it built the audience. And guess what? The sequel made money. And 2 weeks in June, last two weeks. And look at this, like there's no way I see Aquaman will do well after 5 years. I mean, because no one, people forget that it crossed the $1 billion mark. I mean, but I don't know. And then the question is, what's going to happen with Blue Beetle? Like, is this going to like do well now after this movie? Like, what's going to happen? Like, where are you at with the next two films, Chris, with Blue Beetle, especially because you got your opinion on Aquaman?
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. And I know this will be Blue Beetle's like first live action movie. So I mean I didn't know who the character. I didn't know about the character until I started playing Injustice 2. But hopefully this film will do well and it'll do good in the box office. And this is a new character, so a new fresh character to DCU. So there's a risk that many people may not go to see it because they're not really familiar with this character. But he's still a fresh face with this DC universe. So we still have to be willing to give this film a chance and not just throw in the towel with this film.
Yeah, I agree. But I don't know. I don't trust Warner Brothers. They would probably throw the towel, not us. So, because let's face it, Warner Brothers have thrown their towels so many times. So, I guess let's say a positive about this film before we get into negatives. What was the one thing you liked about this film that they did? What was the thing you liked about this film? What they did? Okay.
I liked Barry's maturity and his transition from being a goofy comedic character into being a mature, responsible, selfless person and selfless, person. He definitely grew as a hero and learned what it means to be a superhero.
Yes, that's true. I do. I definitely agree with that. But I want to also bring up the performance of the two Barrys. Like, very impressive. The double act of having two Barrys in the film really helped the film. I think you did a good job of having the one Barry that was, the Barry we follow being very goofy, but he became more the mature, seasonal superhero to follow when you have the more alternate Barry that was like inexperienced and like he was very much happy-go-lucky. And I like the juxtaposition of those two characters, and they really brought up. That was the best aspect about the film, was having the two Barrys. I was kind of concerned about that, but then I think watching the film, it was the best thing about this film, really. So what do you think about the two Barrys? Do you like that too?
Yeah, I thought, of course, like the present Barry was being kind of like a jerk to past Barry, and I get it. The past Barry was, childish, and it was being a little childish and annoying, and he was funny, honestly. He was funny, so I can understand why present Barry would be annoyed, but I just like the nature of their relationship and how it grew throughout the film.
Yeah, I agree. It did have my funny part where he totally understands why people think he's obnoxious when you say that in the back cave. That was very funny. So, another big positive was Michael Keaton as Batman. Let's kind of get into that. I thought Michael Keaton was great as Batman. He really got back to the role. I think the kitchen scene where he was attacking the two Barrys was really fun. His explanation of the multiverse with the pasta was really great. I thought that was really awesome. I think everything what they did with Michael Keaton here was really great. I wish we did more of him in the third act. Like, I wish we had some direction about his character after this film, but of course they don't have plans for him. So, what we got here was really great. I think he was the highlight of this film, which I liked. So, I think they did everything right with Michael Keaton as Batman. What do you thought about Michael Keaton as Batman?
Oh, I loved it. Like, his suit looked so very authentic, And of course, I was disappointed that Ben Affleck wasn't in the film that long. He only got about 5 minutes. You know, I think having him in the film longer would have had a more proper send off.
Yeah,
But you
yeah,
know, Keaton's performance was just amazing, and it was kind of nice. It was kind of interesting seeing him with long hair and a beard, because I never pictured Michael Keaton in that style.
no, no, it was very funny. And I think I mean, it was going to be it's a tired fool, but I think it worked. And this time around with Keaton, because he just sold it. It really felt like he was like a hermit living in a cell in a cave right now. But yeah. What else? I also like this. I I wish we got more of this, but I did appreciate more of the Barry Flash themes that we got. I wish we got more Irish in this film. I thought the actress that played Irish was really great, and wish we'd spend more time with that. We I wish we got more to do with the dad and mom. Especially I thought the parents of Barry were really great actors, and I thought that they really brought everything to this film, which is great. Uh, and then just Wi-Fi, the Francis friends that Barry hands out, are actually combo characters. So Patty is a combo character. She's a new character from the DC New 52. She was the new love interest for Barry in New 52, and she was a love interest briefly in season 2 of the CW Flash. And the other guy is actually a villain of the Flash in the Rogues Gallery. He is Dr. Acme. And that character also popped up in the 3rd season of the Flash, played by Todd Feldman, in that season as the Dr. Acme. So, but yeah, so we thought about the major other characters, the Flash recurring characters that we know from the parents and then the briefly Irish and the other supporting characters. What do you thought about them?
I thought that. What I thought is that they should not have left um, Nora Allen's murder as a mystery and left it at, oh, some random intruder broke into their house, and we don't get an even identity of a killer, and of course we don't see that scene where the intruder breaks in the house and stabs Nora Allen.
Yeah,
And that was a crucial component to why he became the Flash, and the killer, who was Eobard Thawne, which the director recently confirmed. Why not have him in the film? Why not have him as an antagonist? Because in this film, it didn't really, to me, there really wasn't an antagonist. I mean, yeah, you had General Zod, but it wasn't like you defeated him or anything. It was just like, okay, no matter how much we try to change things, things are going to remain the same. So with
yeah,
General Zod terraforming Earth and killing Supergirl, that event was going to remain the same no matter how much you try to alter events. And it was basically Baron Allen has to make the sacrifice and let his mom go to prevent any chaos with the existence of different worlds and different universes.
yeah.
You don't have that real antagonist there. I mean, like I said, Dark Flash, he was barely in the movie, barely had any dialogue, and
Mm,
I was hoping that he would at least explain and go into more detail about what Barry Allen did when he went back in time. But
yeah,
barely he said anything.
yeah. Very true. I don't know what you could have done, but I mean, I could see they could have done was have an alternate Barry that killed the mom accidentally. He couldn't actually the Dark Flash couldn't replace the First Flash being the murderer of that. But then I I don't know if they were if they were hoping if the film was successful they can actually address the mom death in the first Flash theme in the sequel. You know, which is not going to happen with the opening that this film has done. So yeah, it's very disappointing. Like they didn't address that. That was the weird part when I saw that. I had that same issue, like the fact that they left it very ambiguously who killed her. I thought, okay, it makes sense. Maybe they want to do that more in the sequel, right? Have the reverse Flash as the villain, but I don't think that's gonna happen. But like, I don't think we'll get another Flash movie in another 10 years, really, because of the DC reboot. So, but they could have done that with Dark Flash. I think one of my big problems is like I think everything like the whole multiverse time travel is so wonky. Like I don't know, like just not like makes sense if you think about it. But anyway, um, yeah. So yeah, the Nora thing, not knowing who, like. By the way, I don't know why Andy Muschietti really is throwing down shade at the film. Like he just knows this film's like was DOA, YOA. So the fact that he spoiled the Nicolas Cage cameo like a few weeks before this film was open, and like him defending the special effects, which we need to get to the effects. I mean I don't know, the effects are so inconsistent. Some is good, some is bad. We'll get into that, but yeah. I don't know. I thought Andy Muschietti was a good choice at first. I thought, the It chapter films were pretty good. I mean, I like the first chapter. I don't like the second chapter really. Um, but yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so let's actually get into what was the one I was wanted to talk about the effects. What's your opinion on the effects? I mean, it's very inconsistent. I I think the
Yeah,
film.
yeah, the VFX effects, basically like they were, as the director said, they were done on purpose, but I didn't really see the point. I didn't really see the point of that at all. Like that I don't understand. When I saw but some of the effects, it just made me cringe. I'm like, dude, what is this? Like who thought that this was a good idea? There's no
Yeah,
way just a director, like, was this the director's intention from the beginning to have the VFX effects the way it was? Was it the studio? Like, who said, you know what, this is a perfect idea? Like, what were they thinking?
I I it felt like they were spending the money on the marketing, but not on the effects. So like I I feel like I think Hollywood is having a problem with the effects, and like some films are look great in the effects. Like Avatar 2, The Way of Water looks great. I mean, still like that's really awesome. It's so vastly vastly superior, better over the first Avatar in terms of effects and just believability. And this just takes it way too cartoony. I mean, like I when you get to the dorm, I actually appreciate the space force they created with the dorm, the bubble they do, and you see the almost like Skyrim kind of visions of the time travel with the faces of the characters we see in the film. Like I don't mind that, but when you throw in so much of like the electricity, like the light of the flash, blue, yellow, and then purple, and like the thunders and like all that, like it just gets so fake. It gets to the point where I'm like very like tuned out from those like very like electricity kind of scenes of the Speed Force from the main speedsters, right? Um, even the Battle of General Zod looks very fake. I did not like that they took it like it was like open wide, like no like physical like cities like sort of went in stealing during the third act with General Zod and like how General Zod versus Zod, Superman versus Zod in the Metropolis was like really good and it looks great. Where here, just like the ending with the Kryptonian battle army is like very fake and CGI is really that there. So I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking about the CGI. I don't know why the director is spending the effects here. Like he like he's saying that's intentional. Like that was the point of doing the effects, but then that's not good, and that's why a lot of people are turned off by this film. So,
Yeah, I didn't see what that was gonna do for the story. Like I don't know how they thought it would be a good idea and fans would be pleased with that. And that's one of the things that people are pointing out. It's like, what the heck is this with the VFX?
yeah, I know it's very awful. Um, okay, so like what are the effects? What was the other problems we had in the film that we need to bring up? Like I, there's a lot. What's your opinion on the third act with like is it messy for you? Like,
I mean, I liked Supergirl. I thought Sasha Calle did a
oh
good job
yes,
with the character, but I do agree with you. She had a little to do.
no,
I was hoping for more fight and action sequences with her and General Zod. And I feel
yeah,
like it wasn't long enough. It should have been more longer.
hmm,
Hopefully I'll see and there are more, definitely more rated R scenes Sasha Calle said about with her fight scenes, but they were cut from the film, but you know, I didn't expect her to get a lot of screen time, but it would have been nice to see. It would have been nice to see more action sequences with her.
yeah, I agree. Um, like Sasha Calle did a really good job as Supergirl. I think they did a good job of depicting the character as Supergirl. It's spot on from the comics and the media we've seen. But yeah, I wish we got more to. I was very surprised that when we get into like the third, like the almost like halfway through the film, like when we got to the Russian, I was like, oh wow, we're like gonna introduce Supergirl here, and it's like it seemed like there was like heavy reshoots around her character, particularly. So I think there was more the character had because the way she comes back to Batcave and take Barry to the skies to the lightning is very like edited chop. Like it seemed like there was more scenes for her than what we got in the film. So like yeah, it's just very like very annoying that they didn't give her much to do because and I can be frank, like I this is why I'm saying I like her the most. I feel like there was nothing spectacularly wow for this character. So I felt like she wasn't the MVP of this film. Like for me, it was definitely Michael Keaton stole that really. I don't know. I think there should be more for her to do. Um, okay, so what else? I guess let me get into Easter eggs. I guess. Do you want to get some Easter eggs, Chris? If you want to listen. So like we got the Wonder Woman cameo, which I was kind of surprised. Like that was a big surprise. The Wonder Woman cameo. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I knew she was gonna be in the movie, and
Oh
of
really?
course it was good. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because it was gonna. Yeah, because I had been following up on articles about like her appearance in the film, and I'm just wondering, okay, where was Wonder Woman, all this time when like the multiverse was happening, and what is to say about her future? Is she going to continue to be Wonder Woman? Is this going to be the last time we see? I mean, I know I think she's going to be in Aquaman because I think one of the actors from Shazam spoiled it.
Hmm.
But it's still there's still questions about her future. And Gadot recently said, I feel empowered to do other uh, projects. And before that, she said, you'll see more of me soon as Wonder Woman. But Wonder Woman 3 was
Cancel.
scrapped.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we still don't know like what the future holds. As far as her playing this character.
For me, it's this is the final time to see her. I like. I don't know why people are just well. Like I like her as Wonder Woman. I really like her version. Love the first film. It's still like the first one is my number one in terms of the DCU ranking, if you want to call that. Um, I just don't like we're rebooting everything, so I don't think we're going to continue with her. Really, like same thing with Affleck and Cavill. Like we're not going to continue with them, so it just doesn't make sense uh with with the Kato returning, right? So this could be the final one, maybe. But if you because the fact that you brought up the Aquaman thing, if she's gonna pop up there, then I'm like maybe it's gonna be her last time in cameo form, which was kind of sad. Um, yeah. So I want to bring that up. That was funny. Okay. What else? Oh, excuse me. Another one was the Flash referencing the Snyder Cut, how Barry Iris met. So they brought that up. So when Barry is talking to Iris and they're briefly discussing, like a kind of catch up. So that was there. So so you got a little bit of your Zack Snyder Justice League reference. The prison that goes to is the Iron Heights Penitentiary, which is famous in the Flash universe, which is also in the CW show. Uh, we got the Speed Force. So we got that. I'm kind of curious. Did they ever delve into Speed Force in the Justice League cut, the Snyder cut?
Not that I recalled. I haven't seen the film in a while. I don't remember them, addressing that.
Okay. Okay. So.
I think it was more to show, what Zack Snyder envisioned for Justice League, uh,
Mm,
2 and 3, and it had much of like, the same plans from the like, the Justice version, but it was just, the scene. It was just like more storylines that we didn't see. It was just more storylines that Snyder had intended, but I don't really think it really talked about the Speed Force that much.
mhm.
Besides the mother boxes and glimpses of like visions, it was showing them. But yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Um, we also got a little brief cameo of Henry Cavill, Superman, but that was like at the back of his back of the head. So that was funny when we got the little footage in the beginning. Apparently, Barry department store basically is like there's a store named Grayson. So a little nod to the Nightwing character.
Uh,
Uh,
Robin, Dick Grayson.
yeah. This store that Barry lives like in his apartment, like say Grayson. So that was a little like nod to Nightwing, the first Robin, Dick Grayson. Um, another big one was the alternate Barry's room had like feature of Warner Bros. Films posters. So like if you see again or see in the Max, like he has a couple of film posters that are from Warner Bros. Like the Will Smith film I Am Legend, Christopher Nolan's Inception, and then Pacific Rim from Guillermo del Toro. And then it was funny. The small Barry had like a Scooby Doo shirt wearing in the beginning, and that was a kind of cool, like subtle nod because that's what James Cobb wrote first in his Hollywood career. So, and the sequel, so that's kind of funny. We got the cameo of the Aquaman father from Tom Kerry back in this film, so that was funny. But okay. Oh, that was a okay. So now I'm looking at my notes. Another one was a more retcon that they did was that Barry was in the Man of Steel. Like we got a clip where we got a flashback where he had like a proto suit and he saved one kid, but he couldn't save the dad. What do you thought about that flashback? Like, do you like it? I mean, I thought it was interesting, but I thought they were going to do something. Uh,
Yeah, that was cool to see. It's like, oh wow, he was there when General Dodd was invading Earth, and it was just, I think it just showed you how how, in his early times when he had his powers, he was working to develop them, and I think it was just trying to show his growth and the guilt that he's carried that he couldn't do more on
Yeah,
that day.
yeah, I agree. I agree, but I feel like it was a weird thing to do because we didn't pay it off very meaningful. I thought maybe the Barry 2 or maybe the first Barry will do something to like save the kid again in this alternate timeline. But we only got like a quick shot of the dad and the the kid seeing the terraforming thing to starting the terraforming. So like we didn't pay that off meaningfully. So I thought it was kind of weird that we did that if we're not gonna pay off in a very meaningful way, as a story, Uh, so in so okay, so what else we got here? Oh, what do you thought about the Back in the Future jokes that they did here? The having sentimental J Fox playing the character. It was played by Eric Stoltz, and then apparently Michael J. Fox played the lead in Footloose, and then Tim Bacon was the actor that played Maverick in Top Gun. What do you thought about the
Yeah, I thought that was funny, and I thought I liked how they had those nods to those films, and to relate to the subject of this film, you're addressing like time travel and the multiverse, and how time works. So it was nice to have those kinds of references and callbacks.
Yeah, that's true. The Daily Elfman score from Batman and Batman Returns came back. There was, I think, that the score from Benjamin Fisher did a good job for the score here. I wish he had more memorable score for Flash and some of the other characters, but the Elfman score for Batman is still great. The other deep cut Easter egg was the Joker's laughing gag that Barry hold and that was making that laughing noise. That was directly from the finale from '89 Batman film from the Jack Nicholson version. Uh, okay, so and then brought up the Flashpoint reference stuff, like of course Keaton is playing more of the Thomas Wayne version, and then so there's thinking of the Superman version. I Barry trying to regain his powers similar to that. And that was really cool, and that was very good. Um, okay, and then what else? That was funny. Uh, oh, the director for this Flash made a cameo. He's the one that was trying to eat the hot dog in the end, and then Barry took it. That was the director. And then we get into the big Easter egg. I think a big George Clooney. What was your reaction seeing George Clooney? Was it a shock? Was it like very funny?
Yeah, I was shocked to see that. That was a little bit of a nice surprise. I mean, I don't see
Yeah,
what it will have to do with the future of the DCU. So it's not like he's going to play Batman, because James Gunn made it pretty clear that a younger actor would play Batman. But
yeah,
I don't see what else it does in anything for a story. But that was a nice little surprise.
yeah. It was just a joke. I thought that was very funny. I love we got our first F bomb for this film. So that was funny that when Barry say, pardon my French here, when he say like, "Who the fuck was that?" That was funny. That was probably the best F bombs that they dropped. But yeah, like it was very funny. But it was weird too if you think about it. So this was definitely a major reshoot they did because originally they definitely had Keaton and Sasha like appearing in the court where Barry was at, and like confirmed that he was in a new universe, and like Keaton and Sasha was now the new versions of Superman and Batman in this universe. I don't know why did he like stick with that ending instead of this weird ending that doesn't help you move forward in the universe, right? But I don't know. What do you think? It's
Yeah, I don't
just
know why that was cut out of the film because Supergirl and Michael Keaton's Batman were key characters and key crucial role players in this film. So I don't know why they didn't keep that scene.
yeah, or like
They already filmed it.
yeah. So it's just weird that they did that. So um, yeah. So those are the Easter eggs. So to like wrap things up, I mean, um, I were you surprised that this movie underperformed? Can I give you like? Can you give me like what was your like? What's your thinking of like why this film didn't do well this week? Like, do you think?
Well, I don't think a lot of people were too crazy on seeing it because of the controversy surrounding Ezra Miller, and the allegations against him are pretty serious, and unfortunately he did have trouble with the
The
law
law.
and with the reputation and the habit Warner Brothers had of just not making good good product, and with Key and Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck not playing key character, not playing Batman and Superman anymore, and were uncertain with Wonder Woman, uh, and had some uncertainty with Aquaman. It's just the DCEU was just, and then what really messed things up was from Joss Whedon's Justice League.
Yeah.
That film was just horrible. So I think with all those things, I just think not many fans were too keen on seeing it. So I don't think it was because the film was bad. It wasn't bad. It was a good film. I just think that you know at this point, the DCEU is over,
Yeah.
and so the Flash is going to reset everything. And I think fans are just impatient at this point, and I am too.
Yeah.
But I hope James Gunn does well.
Yeah. So I agreed. I mean, the Ezra Miller thing is big contention, and it's very true. I mean, the accusations are very serious. I mean, the big culprit for me is Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers is the big fault here. I mean, like, you can't even blame one person. Like, it's not even Savas or Savvy, or whatever the CEO is for Discovery, like David Safa. That's what his name. Like, you can't even blame him because this was from two other division, two other previously Warner Brothers heads up that they started this film and they left. So like this was from an old regime that they're no longer in this company, and like they like the fact that they're defending Ezra and like in a weird way, like because they like defending Ezra, where he had a very serious accusation, where like something like Johnny Depp, who was innocent from the Amber Heard thing, and they fire him from a franchise. So it doesn't make sense what whatever is doing with their trust of actors, and and more than that, like they've broken their promises. I mean, you can say whatever you want about the MCU, but the MCU has kept their promise about the lineup and films that they produce, that they will come out, and Warner Brothers had constantly broke their promise, and this strategy that they say they will do, but then they don't do it, and then it doesn't come to fruition. Like from 2014, half the films they announced from 2014 barely got made. Like few got made, but then others took longer, like The Flash did. But then others didn't develop into a film. They just instead went to development hell as usual with those kind of things. That if they're not going to get traction in the studio, uh, another one is like just the superhero boutique thing. I think this superhero bad quality boutique is kicking in. If you don't make a good quality, like I mean, this film is good, but this thing it's very like mediocre type of film. It's not the greatest film. I mean, it's not Guardians or Spider Verse. So you got another average superhero film that's like in par of like what, like Ant-Man first film, and like uh Aquaman a little bit, and that's not enough for the people to see it. So like you need to step up the quality of these superhero films. Like this is the third one out of the live action films that DOA like bombed. Like Shazam bombed, Ant-Man 3 did bomb. I mean, it didn't cross any of his first two installments of the Ant-Man franchise. So like, I think studios, both DC and Marvel, needs to pump the brakes and get this quality control in check. Like we need to start getting more quality superhero films, and not get these like blockbuster ones. And then another one was The Crowded. Like I I get you want to put it in the summer release, but I think they should have maybe put it in July or something like that. A different date. Like they should know that like it's coming out 2 weeks after another multiverse film, Spider-Verse, that is doing so well over the 3 weeks that's been open. And then you got Transformers, right? Beast that opened the second week of June and is doing well. So I don't get why they want to put the release date because right now I think there's becoming an issue with the premium screens. Like studios are fighting for the screens, like how much this big temples need to develop. Like we're seeing that with Tom Cruise is trying to fight Universal to discussing the exhibitors to give up the premium screens for the Dead Reckoning film over the Hummer film. So like it's right now it's kind of ridiculous. So what else? I think my other one is that it's a very, I mentioned before, like a very poor. This is probably the less multiverse film that I've seen. Despite I don't like the way that Doctor Strange 2 does multiverse or what No Way Home does it, but like those two films did a very good job of successfully doing multiple things and like they made money. Here you got Keaton and then Supergirl. That's it. Like if they lean very onto the Snyderverse, like having Aquaman here, like having Superman here in the film completely, like Henry Cavill, I think couldn't boost their ticket sales because that's another thing about the scheduling here of this film. Like they like put it on the week when Man of Steel had its 10th anniversary on June 14th. So like Warner's just were so stupid, firing Henry Cavill and not putting him in this film. Like
Yeah, they never even had a deal in place for him to return as Superman, and they hired James Gunn 6 months before he had filmed his scene with Black Adam. But they made it look like Henry Cavill was coming back, knowing that they weren't going to let him come back.
Yeah, and then what it doesn't make sense, like you Superman can't reveal for the Flash movie because like Superman is your top tier character. I get you using Batman, but Superman is the first superhero in like culture history, and he's your major superhero character people love, and he's the first that started this universe. So it doesn't make sense why they didn't put him in deal. Like it's weird that we put him in Black Adam, and just for a unpromised thing about him versus Black Adam. Like I don't get what Warner Bros. Allowed that to do that. Like they should have kept Henry Cavill like agreed to do the Flash. It just doesn't make sense. So yeah. Yeah, I think that's really it. Is there anything else to say about the Flash? Like something we need to bring up? Oh, I did not like the post credit scene with Aquaman. I thought it was just too jokey. It doesn't give you what was going on with the feature of Aquaman. That's just my opinion. So I thought that was it's probably the worst post credit scene I've seen since Morbius or something like that. So yeah.
I mean, I just like see him in the cameo. It was kind of funny seeing him as just a drunk. Um, but I will say one storyline that was interesting was where the Flash, where he was in the world where there was no when there was no metahumans. I thought that was pretty interesting, but I felt like that should have been replaced with a war between Wonder Woman and Aquaman, and I think the film would have been more epic. But I
Yeah,
guess it's kind of bittersweet with this film.
yeah, I agree. I mean, it didn't even took the metahuman concept away. Like, we still have metahumans with Flash and Supergirl. So I don't know. Like, even that felt very flimsy at the end. Really, I don't know. It's just I yeah. So yeah, I still stand my 6.5 out of 10. Really, I'm less liking the film. I think it's better than the other misses of the DCU films, but that's not saying much, really, for me. Despite how entertaining it was. But I just thought the third act really is very messy, and I just don't think this film really deliver as a multiverse film, really. So that's just my opinion. But,
Well, their performance in the box office right now with The Flash, I feel like that was inevitable with, considering it's just the consistent poor marketing, poor storytelling, and they rushed the characters and trying to compete with Marvel.
yeah,
And Justice League with Joss Whedon's version really messed them up. And then now with Henry Cavill not being Superman anymore, which was just so dumb.
yeah, yeah. So I'm kind of glad that they're going to reboot this franchise and just start clean because it just makes sense right now. Because I mean, this franchise is gonna die because they're not making money. So that's not good. So, anything else to say, Chris, about this film, The Flash? I think we probably say our I think everything we were able to say in this film.
Yeah, I think we're ready to wrap up, and I love this discussion, and
Yeah,
I definitely had a lot to say. And
yeah,
there were some funny moments in the film, but I
yeah,
liked how I liked how the film was kept at a low, and the visuals were pretty good.
mm-hmm.
Besides,
Yeah,
some of the visuals were pretty good, but just the VFX effects. Yeah, some of it was cringe worthy, was very cringe. But when it came to the time traveling, the lighting was really good, and that was fine.
yeah, yeah. I agree. Yeah. I think my favorite was when the first Barry lost his powers and like he was trying to do the super speed, but he walked slow, and it was funny. That really worked. Or the part where he was trying to face through the wall, but he instead just knocked himself out. That was funny. With the other Barry. So yeah. So those were my favorite funny scenes of the film. And then also seeing the other the alternate timeline friends of Patty and Albert in the apartment of just them being like what do you call it, like lazy people. So that was very funny. So but yeah. So Chris, thank you for joining me today. This was a fun podcast. This was a fun Monday. Great start to this week. So thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed this podcast discussing the Blackening and the Flash.
Yep.
I can't wait for July films. We got Oppenheimer and Mission Impossible. So we definitely got some good movies lined up for July.
Yeah. Yep. I totally agreed. Got Barbie. If that's good, we'll probably see that. I, you if we're going to see Indiana Jones, I know that's coming out, but we'll see about that. What's what's coming out? So like we got Insidious, The Red Door coming out as well. The Haunted Mansion. I don't know if you're interested in that film. Um, so that's coming out. So that's kind of intriguing. So yeah, there's a couple of things that is coming out in July, which is pretty cool. But yeah. So thank you everyone for listening to the Andreas Pop Culture Talk, episode 5 or 6, whatever it is this for the double podcast for movies, for the Blackening and the Flash movie. So thank just please like that button, and of course thank Chris for joining as always. He's been an awesome host. I just love talking to him for movies and TV and slash trailer discussions. We'll be back very soon to have another spectacular podcast. Chris, have a good night.